There are somewhere north of 100 million channels on YouTube. Roughly 4% of the active ones are even enrolled in the partner program, the basic gate that lets you collect ad money at all. And by the most cited estimate, only about 0.25% earn what anyone would call meaningful income from the platform directly. So the pitch is everywhere, and the payout is almost nowhere. The question worth auditing isn't whether YouTube can pay. It obviously can. It's whether ad revenue alone can carry a full-time living in 2026, and if not, what actually does. We ran the numbers on going full-time on YouTube, start at the front door, because most channels never reach it. To switch on ad revenue, YouTube's partner program asks for 1,000 subscribers plus 4,000 valid public watch hours in the past year, or 10 million shorts views in 90 days. There's now an expanded early tier at 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours that unlocks fan funding. But the real ad money still lives behind the full threshold. That 4,000-hour bar sounds small until you realize what it means. 250,000 minutes of people actually watching accumulated inside a rolling 12-month window that keeps resetting. The widely repeated figure is that only around 3 to 4% of channels ever clear it. So before any conversation about how much YouTube pays, the first filter has already eliminated more than 95% of the field. The threshold isn't the finish line, it's the turnstile. Now, suppose you're through the gate. Here's the number the thumbnails never lead with. On long-form video, YouTube keeps 45% of the ad revenue your views generate and hands you the remaining 55%. That's why the metric that matters is not CPM, what advertisers pay per 1,000 impressions, but RPM, your revenue per 1,000 views after the platform's cut. Across most channels in 2025 and into 2026, that working RPM lands somewhere between roughly $2 and $8 per 1,000 views, depending heavily on niche and audience country. Finance and business content can run far higher, entertainment, gaming, and especially shorts run far lower. Shorts often pay just a few cents per 1,000. So the honest planning number for a typical channel is somewhere around $3 to $5 for every 1,000 people who watch. Hold that figure, because the entire living wage calculation is built on it. So run it. Set the target at a modest full-time salary, call it $50,000 a year before tax that you need to repeat every year. At a $4 RPM, $50,000 requires 12.5 million views every year. That works out to a little over 1 million views every single month, sustained forever. Push your RPM up to a strong $5 and you still need 10 million views a year, roughly 830,000 a month. Drop to a more common $3 and the requirement balloons past 16 million views annually. To put that in human terms, a channel pulling a steady 1 million views a month, which would place it comfortably inside the top sliver of all channels, is earning somewhere in the region of $3,000 to $5,000 a month from ads. That is a full-time income. It is also a level of sustained attention that almost nobody reaches and even fewer hold year after year. Here's why that level of attention is so rare. The views aren't spread out, they're hoarded. A decade-long statistical analysis of the platform found that the top 3% of channels collected roughly 85% of all views, with the figure climbing as high as 90% in some years. The same body of research found that the great majority of videos never crack 1,000 views in their lifetime. This is a textbook power law curve, a tiny head of giant channels, and a near infinite long tail of channels that almost no one sees. The 1,000 subscriber turnstile we started with filters the field down to a few percent, and then this concentration curve takes that survivor pool and hands almost all of the actual viewership to the top of it. You are not competing for an average outcome. There is no average. There's a handful of winners absorbing the attention, and everyone else sharing the scraps. So how do the people who genuinely go full-time actually do it? Not on ad revenue. That's the finding that reorganizes the whole picture. Among established creators, the consistent estimate is that something like 60 to 80% of their income comes from everything except AdSense, brand sponsorships, their own products and courses, memberships, affiliate links, and merchandise. The economics are blunt. A single integrated sponsorship typically pays several times what the same video earns in ad revenue, on a per-view basis, often 5 to 10 times more, which is why a mid-sized channel can out-earn its entire AdSense check from one brand deal. AdSense, in this model, is not the salary. It's the floor, a small, automatic baseline that proves the audience exists, while the audience itself is what gets sold to sponsors and converted into products. The full-time creators didn't beat the ad revenue math. They stopped depending on it. Watch what that does to two channels that look identical from the outside. Both have 1 million subscribers. One treats YouTube as an ad revenue machine. It lives on the AdSense check, which in a middling niche might be $15,000 in a given month, swinging with the algorithm and the ad market. The other treats the exact same audience as a business pellet layers sponsorships, a paid community, a course, and merch on top of the ads, and clears 6 figures in the same month from the same views. Same subscriber count. The same thumbnails, the same watch time. A roughly 8-fold gap in income, and almost none of it explained by the metric everyone obsesses over. The lesson isn't that ad rates are unfair. It's that ad revenue is the one lever a creator least controls, and the full-timers built their income on the levers they do. So, can you really make a full-time income from YouTube ad revenue in 2026? On AdSense alone, for nearly everyone, the honest answer is no. The math demands well over 1 million sustained views a month just to reach a modest salary. The concentration curve hands that traffic to a few percent of channels, and the platform keeps nearly half of what those views earn. If your plan is to live on the ad check, you've bought a lottery ticket and called it a career. But reframe the question and the answer flips. YouTube as a business, where ads are the floor and sponsorships, products, memberships, and an owned audience are the building, is a genuine full-time path. And it's the one virtually every successful full-timer is on. So the single sharpest filter is this: does your income plan depend on the ad rate or on the audience? The ad rate is a number YouTube sets and can cut tomorrow. The audience is an asset you own and can sell in a dozen directions. The full-timers, almost without exception, are building the second thing.